Okay, we continue our example with the next output group. Last we created the input group, which is shown on the screen. And the next part, we have another group, which has the follower cam followers on this group. This group has 12 parts and one shaft, they are installed on it. And the outline of this assembly is here, which is on the top of the part list. We have the part details in these groups. Also, let me open the mouse clicker. Okay, here, as you see, we have a shaft here, which is the first one, the pin, the spacer, the bigger spacer, the side plate, index plate, the index roller, and we have the index bush. These are much more simpler parts in the assembly. But first of all, I would like to start with the shaft part. This is much more complicated. And for this, I'm going to use the shaft feature again in the assembly side. For this, I'm going to just start my example by just creating a shaft here. This is our last example. This is the cam which we created lastly. I will close this one and open a new file with standard millimetric IEM properties. Let me close this one a little. This feature to just make a new thing. Okay. The next, what I'm going to do is I will just go to design and shaft design. And first it tells me to just enter the name of this one. This time I will just make the part 2. This is the not input group, this is the output group. Okay. The next. We have the shaft here. As you see, we have one section, which is this one. But here, what I have is, we have a section here. We have another section here. And we also have another big, long section here. Okay. So I need 3 sections. For this, I will go to Insert Cylinder section, and I need 2 sections here. Okay. The next, I will start from the beginning. I will start a new part section here, which is 50 millimeter with 25 millimeter in depth. For this, I will change the cylinder dimensions with double click. Okay. This time I will change the main diameter, which is 50, and also the section length 25. I will change this one. And I would like to add a chamfer before it with, let's say, 1 millimeter. The next section, we have a 10 millimeter in thickness and 80 millimeter in diameter. I will double click in this section. Again, 80 millimeter, the diameter, and 10 millimeter for thickness. I will just delete the 140. The changes which I have seen in the figure, yes, this one, as you see. First section, this is the first section, this is the second section, and the third section, we have a long section having the 35 millimeter diameter. Here, what I'm going to do is I will just create 35 with, as you see, we have a long section. Let me just escape this. We have a 300 millimeter. Okay. The next thing, I would like to add chamfers on these two sides. One chamfer here, which is this point, as you see, when I'm playing with this one. This is the chamfer which I have added here, this one. The other side, I will add this point with another chamfer here, as you see. But I will just make the chamfers with 1 millimeter on each side. Also, I need another chamfer here at the end of the third section, which means that it is the section on the last end here, this point. I will add a chamfer here. As you see, it is added with 1 millimeter also. I will first create the shaft. You can also rename this shaft part with, let's say, part 2-7 with shaft. I will rename this shaft section. Okay, first thing, we are in the assembly group. Please do not forget this one. I will just place this shaft. I will change the view representation here, shaded with edges. Okay, next. What I'm going to do is I will just save my part file this time. The next thing, what I'm going to do is I will make this shaft part. Let's save. Yes, it's saved. I will save my part file and make it ground because I'm going to use this as a base part. Also, I would like to create some features here, the keyways at these points here. For this, I will make these keyways by manually. I can also use the design accelerator to add the keyways, but I have previously tried. Let's make. I would like to add 3 keyways on this last section. I'm not interested in this one. I will delete. On the last section, I need 3 keyways. For this, I need a keyway group. And I would like to add this keyway, which is 10 millimeter far from this end. And I would like to have 10 millimeter, and also I have 2 keyways having different dimensions. These are 50 millimeter in length. This is also 50, and this is a little bit longer, which is 36. Where do I know those dimensions? I have these keyways inserted on it, and I can just show these ways. As you see, this number 10, it is the 36, which is just coming from this point. And the other keyways, here we have another keyway, also we have another keyway at this point, and they are 11th part number, which is at this point. Here, what I'm going to do is I will just make the first keyway with 50 millimeter in these 2 points. Okay. It is at the end this time, it is at the end of this part, and we have a 300 millimeter. And I will just go back from this point, or I will just go back to this point. here what I'm going to do is I need a starting point here, which is 280 millimeter from the backside, and this segment, the 35 millimeter diameter segment, is 35 millimeter far from this liner. For this reason, I will just start this keyway. I'm sorry. Let me bring it again. I would like to adjust the first keyway length, this one. The keyway length, I will adjust 50 as I had shown previously here. I have 50 millimeter keyway. Okay, the next, I will go again, 50 millimeter, and it belongs to the main diameter here, which I will just, this time, I'm going to again have this one. The starting point, it is 10 millimeter, and it will be 200, the X length from this point, this segment point, it will be something like this. I will just adjust this X distance with 280. I will subtract the main point here, which is 35. Then I will go back to 5 millimeter, which is this small length here, okay? And for this, I will go to and add some details on it, okay? Let me check what I'm doing. Here I have from the top view, I have this keyway. For this, I need to do some adjustment. I have to take it back 50 millimeter more to get in the right position, because I have to adjust this way, okay? Let's call this one. This time I have 38, which is 300 millimeters, and 35 here, which is this length. Let me correct it again. 320, 280. It has a 40 millimeter distance here and 50 millimeter through all length. And we have 5 millimeter less than this one, which is 300. Let me correct this font, something like this. We have a 300 millimeter in length. We have 50 millimeter in minus here. First, I will just make this one. And I will take it back 10 millimeter more. This will be our formula. I will just go back 10 millimeter from this point here. This is our first one. Also, I need another keyway, but when I try to add another keyway groove here at this point, I may have a fault of this. And this time, this keyway at this point, we have 63 millimeter in length, and it will be with -5 in X direction, because it starts from the segment, before the segment length, okay? It starts before the segment, like this, as you see. It has a warning because we will just make a cut at this point, okay? The next thing, I need another segment, I need another keyway, but this time, this keyway has a length with 50 millimeter, which is in the middle side, but it is rotated from these two keyways with 45 degrees. For this, I need the angle adjustment here. Here I'm going to make 45 this time. As you see, we cannot see in our figure here This time I will just give the minus 45 for other side. Okay. Here what I have is I have this segment and I have this length with 5 millimeter in minus 123 minus 5. I have this distance and I will just subtract 35 from that distance. I will adjust this X length for the third keyway like this. The distance 123 minus 5 I have ignored and go back to this point, the start of this keyway. Then I will just subtract 35 millimeter to adjust this keyway. This is my part. It is, as you see, it is computed, and I will save my shaft part. Okay. The next thing, we have completed our shaft part. The next part, we will start from the roller and continue to other pieces, other parts. Here I have the parts here, and I will just save my part and open a new part. This time I'm going to continue with the part, and I will just continue the index roller. This time, it's a very simple part. For this, I do not need to open the origin points. I will just directly sketch on this plane. As you see, we have two critical dimensions. The first one, we have three dimensions with critical which is 15 here. Also, we have a 30 millimeter. Finish my sketch. I have the extrude tool. I would like to keep the midpoint relationship. For this, I need a symmetrical extrude with 32. For mounting purposes, I may need the midplane. For this reason, I will just create a symmetrical extrusion. Okay, and I will save my part file with part 2-1 index roller. Also, we have some material properties. All our materials are steel, which we are going to design in this example. The next part, I will just close this one and close the first output part. Okay, again start with an index plate. This time, I would like to open the origin point and XY plane. Start a new sketch. First, I need the axis lines because I will just give some dimensional constraints. Okay, the first thing I do the axis lines. Axis lines. I made a mistake here. I will just make it horizontal with giving the horizontal constraint. I will just use these two lines for construction purposes. I will make coincident this origin point to this one and this point, midpoint to this one. The next, I need 3 circles, which is this one, the PCD, pitch circle diameter of these holes, and the outer diameter. The next, okay, for these 2 circles. For the middle circle, I'm not going to use this one and turn it to construction. And I would like to keep one point. If you want, you can use this point. If you want, you can use this point. Let's give the biggest dimension, which is 130. The next one, we have 35. We have a dimension here, which is 130. I'm sorry. This time, we do not have the biggest dimension, 130. We have the smaller one. We have 130. And also, I will just enlarge this one and give the dimension constraint between these two lines, which is 16. I will use one point here or this point as the construction purposes. The next thing, I will just create a hole. I'm sorry, the circle. I give the dimension, which I have seen here, 12. And I would like to keep this circle on this line. For this, I will just extend this one and make the trims. And for this, I will use the modify tool. I'll make the constraint, this line on this line, this point on this line, I'm sorry. And I will like to make the 4 copies. First, I get the circular pattern command from here. I get the geometry. Then I choose the geometry copying point, which is this one, and I need 4 copy. What I would like to do is I would like to again have a rectangle tool for these purposes. I would like to just make a cylindrical, symmetric constraint. This line and this line around this line. I would like to have a 10 millimeter constraint. For here, I have the top line distance for this from this line. You can make the trims for unnecessary parts. I do not need these parts. If you want, you can also trim unnecessary parts if you need so. For index plate, we have a 10 millimeter thickness. I have finished my sketch. I have turned my piece here, view. I would like to keep the XY plane in the middle. For this, I would like to keep the symmetric extrusion. Okay. Again, save the part file with part 222 index plate. Okay. The next thing, we have an index pin. It's also a very simple part. Start with index pin, which is this one. Start an XY plane with having 2 dimensions, critical dimensions. First dimension is 12. Finish my sketch. Have the extrude tool for 52 millimeters. I again keep the XY plane relationship between these two, this extrusion, I'm sorry. I would like to have the chamfer. I have a common face with 0.5 to 45. I would like to choose this face for chamfering purposes and these 2 corners. Also this corner and this edge and this edge with 1 millimeter for 45. Please do not forget to use a distance and angle fillet chamfer command. I'm sorry. Okay, we have 0. Added feature, not 1 millimeter, 0.5 millimeter. We have a very little chamfer at this point. I will save my part file with 2 to 3 index pin. The next part, we have the index spacer. It is also a very simple part. I will just start a new part. Again, this time I would like to use the axis lines. An XY plane visible. Start a new sketch on XY plane. 2 lines. 1 line here. And the other line here. I would like to have the construction purposes. For this, I need the axis lines. Get the midpoint, stick to origin. Get the midpoint, stick to origin. Then I need 2 circles, like I did before. Also, I need another rectangle at this point. Okay. We have 32 millimeter in thickness of this spacer part here. The first thing what I'm going to do is I will give the biggest dimension, which is this circle have the 50 millimeter. The second one, we have 35. As I will only just put the dimensions which I have seen here. I will just move it a little bit further, or if you want, you can just leave as it is. We can give the 10 millimeter distance. Also, you can give the dimension here. You can just make the stretch alignments. Here, as you see, we have a missing constraint. This rectangle can go sideways. To stop this sideways, I will define a symmetrical relationship. This line and this line and this line, if they are symmetrical around the line in the middle. I have just made the trims. And if you want, you can also make the trims. Finish this one. Change the view. I would like to keep the midpoint here because I can already use the faces on this in this example. I will just define 42 millimeter. I'm sorry, 32 millimeter. For these parts, I will just define again chamfers, which is again 1.5. We also have chamfers inside. It's not very clear. First, I select the face. Then I will change the dimension. Then I will change the edges, this one and this one. Also, this is the apply for outer faces. This is the, again, for edges, this one and this one. Okay, these chamfers are for easy mounting purposes. Again, I will rename my part 44 index space. The next part we have already made that one, the index push. I will just first, we have 2 different parts. We have also the different views, I'm sorry. Again, I open a new part, standard millimetric IPT. Okay, this time I also have another keyway point here for this. I will open usability and I will have to define axis lines. Start my sketch on XY plane, 2 lines, 1 line here, the other line here. Construction, this one, this one. I will construct 3 circles defining this relationship. And also I would like to have another rectangle to inside like this. You can just make the trims if you want so. I do not trim because I would like to just give the dimension for this circle. If you know how to make the diameter dimension by using this tool, when you just trim that circle, you may have a radius dimension when you intend to give this dimension. When you right click, you can just choose your dimension type to diameter. Okay, this is 35. Everything is just get adjusted to the first dimension. For this purpose, it is better for you to just define the biggest dimension which you have seen. Here I am going to just make the alignment, and the biggest circle here probably have the 120 millimeter, which I have just get this from the other view. Also, we have another one which is 60 the diameter. When you just have follow the line ends here, I will just make 60 for this. Again, I will define the dimensions, which is this one is 10 millimeter. Also, we have this line far from this point, which is 20.8. And I would like to have this one and this one around symmetrical. Here, what I'm going to do is we have two thickness values, which is the front one and the back side here. I will first make the back side by selecting all the features here. And I will just send it to back side. And I would like to keep my sketch visible and keep my sketch as you see here, which I have seen in this right side view. I would like to just make another extrusion like this and add another portion, join with this one. And I would like to have this one, this extrusion length in 10 millimeter. Let me check again. It is, as you see, the distance of this extrusion is 10. Also, this extrusion, it is 10. I would like to have change the visibilities and save my part file, which is part 2 to 5 index push. Okay. The next thing, what I'm going to do is I would like to have export. Our next part is the spacer long. We have a spacer short and we have an index spacer. This is the short one. This is the bigger one. It's also very simple part. Start a new part with IPT. And I would like to just start 2 circles. Okay, the next thing, I will just give the dimensions which I have seen in the technical drawing, which is 60. The other one, we have 120. Finish my sketch. Again, I would like to keep this XY plane in the middle by using the symmetry extrusion, which is 38. And also I would like to give chamfer details by using this one. It is again 1 millimeter. For this face, I would like to add first this face edge and this edge. Apply, and again, I will change my dimension for inside edges. I would like to use, I can change select these two edges. Now, these are not very important parts for our part design. I would like to have 2 5-point spacer long and name it. The next thing, what I'm going to do is I will make the assembly part because I think I have finished all the parts here. Okay, the next thing I'm going to open my assembly group, which is the index output group, and I will bring the parts one by one. This is my part view. We have rollers on each side, and these rollers are 45 millimeter far from these two ends. Okay, we have two sections here, as you see, and I'm going to open this Visual Studio, again shaded with edges, and I will bring my part files. For this shaft, I would like to have an update for this point. I have forgotten that one. Start a new sketch on this face to have this cut. I have forgotten that one. I need that cut. For this, I start a new sketch on this face. As you see, I have just get the geometry, which I have previously get from the keyway command, finish my sketch, have the extrude tool, and make this cut at this point. I would like to make a true all with cut, but this time I would like to have that cut on the other side. I will change to make the cut at this point. Okay, this is the part which we are going to design. Save our part file, then go back to return. As you see, the shaft is updated. This tells us to update the lightning here, tells us the update of our design. When I updated this one from the group, it will just have the same thing. Okay, the next thing, what I'm going to do is I will just make the assembly. First, I need two groups here, an index roller with 8 group, 4 on this group, and 4 on the other side. Where I know these groups, here I have 2 index groups separated from each other. For this purpose, I will just make a one group, insert it together, then I will make another group with this. I will make copy and adjust our shaft here. The next thing, I will bring the parts here. First, I need the parts, roller parts, which is this one, the roller index plate. I need the pin, and I need the index spacer. This is one group of this part, of this group. I need 4 of them, and make adjust to each other. Okay, what I'm going to do is I will just make the adjustment. Okay, here what I need is we have the keyway. I will just make the constraint. Also, I need another spacer plate. I will just make a copy and right click with paste. Just an easy constraint. First, I need to make these two items mated together. I will move this one. As you see, it is fixed, so I do not have to worry about that one. For this one, I will again constrain this to this place, this roller. As you see here, we have a 15 to 16. I think I have made a mistake. It must be 15, or I would like to just make this roller dimension to 12 because our pin is 12 millimeter. For this, I will just close, open this one and change it to 12. Go back to my part file assembly. As you see, this time it is to be fixed. Yes, it is they have the same dimension. Also, let me check. This is also 12, I think. Yes. Okay. From this point, I will just make the first constraint. This one. I will make the adjustment by having these first. Next thing, what I'm going to do is I will just place the spacer here between these two plates. I need this one to be fixed. As you see, we have the keyway. We have to adjust these keyways to each other, okay? For this purpose, what I'm going to do is I will just use the angle constraint. From this one, I get the angle constraint. I have two faces. I will choose the two-face solution. This face and this face to be in the right side. As you see, it is aligned this time. Okay, faces are aligned. The next thing, I would like to have the faces aligned. Choose this face, and probably the next face will be against to this one. I will just move, and I will adjust the spacer first. I will go to constraint, have the mate tool, this one, change my point of view, and select this face. This is the first part we have. The next, we constrain this face to be this face, the roller face to be stick on it, as you see. What I need is I have this movement. I would like to prevent this movement. For this, I have a mid plane here, as you see. Also, I have another mid plane on the index roller. I will use those planes to make this one. As you see, they are looking on the same side. For this, I need the flash solution, as you see. The next thing, I will just adjust the face of the roller, and I would like to have the face here. Also, I can just made actually this circle to be mated with this circle in order to prevent the movement. Now, this time it's a group, but we have many missing parts here. For this, I will just go expand and get rid of the XY planes visibilities to make our figure much more better looking shape before copying the items. Okay, this time I will close the XY planes. As you see, we have the XY plane. We can again collapse with right click, collapse all. As you see, the XY plane relationship gives us many flexibility about our mounting purpose. I'm going to save my part file before something happens to my assembly. The next, I would like to copy 4 of them around this point. For this, I use the pattern command, and I would like to select pin and the roller and pin components. You can select this one, or you can select it with graphical roller and pin. Then I will just choose the circular pattern command, then choose a circular item, which is this one, and we have the 4 copies, which is 360 divided by 4 copies. This is important, and this will result 90 here. As you see, we have the components here. I would like to again have these two, one more in our assembly. This is the first roller group, this one, let's say, and this is the second roller group, which is this one. For this, I will go to and select by pressing the control buttons on all components. Select the Control C and Control V to have, I'm sorry. Okay, anyway, we can use this group. You can also make it to another sub-assembly. You can make an assembly group also and bring it to this group. You can also have these parts and make it these two. Do the same thing for other parts, or we can just make another group here. Again, I need 2 plates. Okay. Also, I need 2 pins, 1 pin and 1 roller pin. Okay. As you see, the dimensional relationships are all inside. Here, I will just again make the constraint, this one, to be around this group. I have made it. And just stick this group constraint, this face to the face of the other plate here. Okay. The next, I need the copy of the components. This is one because this is another group, this is another group, and also it's moving. I will again constrain this face to be this face stick to. Okay. Now this is one group, then this is the second group. Okay. From the top side, let me check. We have no coincidence. Okay. Okay, for this group, I need also another pattern. This group, and this group. I will just use the circular one. I need 4 group with around 390 degrees, 60 degrees. I have 2 groups, and I will just insert these groups to our assembly. This is the one group. The direction is not important. Okay. Why they are not turning? Delete this group. Okay. I think I made a mistake. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Let me check this one. How can I? Yes, this group is okay. We have another problem at that group. Okay. I will adjust this one. As you see, we have a keyway inserted to this one. I will just use the face constraint to stick this face to this face. By having the angular constraint, I have 2 solutions. I have 2 faces, 2 items to make the solution here. As you see, it is just fits. Again, constraint. This time, I need a face constraint. Okay. I'm not sure why this doesn't insert it to this face. Yes, also this group also has No problem so far right now. Okay. Also, I would like to give this face constraint, again an angle constraint, this face and the face. I will go and escape, select this face. Okay, with 2, yes. Okay, also we need a long spacer between these two. I will recall that part. I'm sorry, not place from content center. I would like to escape. I would like to place a bigger one, spacer long between these two. Okay, this one without the constraint. I will first stick this 2 axes to each other. I would like to make the faces touching each other. Okay, it is fixed. This is not fixed. Also, I would like to fix for other group. Then I will just bring, okay, this one. This is also a shaft part here. Okay, good. From this point, as you see, I have the right point. These are the points which I am interested in. Okay, the next we have the groups. So far, for this, I will just save my part file, assembly file, I'm sorry. I will recall the other component parts. For this, I will use the place from content center. I need to search for the bearing. We have 2 bearings on each side. Let me explain a little bit. We have 2 bearings on each side. One is here, the other one is at this point, which is 8 and 12 numbers. We have a lip seal at the end of our shaft part. We have a bushing after the index group. Also, we have the keyways. Okay, I have forgotten one part. I need to place an index bush, which is the number 4 here. Index bush, which is this one. As you see, we have a keyway, and it is inserted with rotation here. I will rotate, then I will mount to according to this figure. Okay, constraint. First, the axes mated together to the shaft part, as you see, and I will just make for rotation, preventing the rotation, I will constrain an angular constraint to solution, directed angle. I would like to have this face to be in the same phase with this face. As you see, we have the faces aligned. The next thing, the faces touch to each other, these 2 faces. As you see, we have the alignment here, and make the faces, 2 faces with touching together. Okay. The next thing, I will just hide the origin XY plane to see better. Okay, save my part, assembly group. The next, I will just bring the standard parts from the part list. I will search the types here, place from the content center. This time we have 720, and we have this standard number, as you see, we have two different sizes. First, I will just make the bigger one, which is 50 to 90 for this. This may sometimes you have omitted this one. Sometimes it is not easy to see in this view, but from the table view, you can just first search the shaft diameter. The first designation in this part group is 50, shows us the shaft diameter. I will go to up to 50 millimeter first of all, and then next the 90 millimeter for outer diameter, which can be these 3 or 4 sections. And this time I have a thickness which is 20.175, which is the number 86 in row. I will just insert the first one. The next thing, again, we will just change, but for this, we have to change this size. For this, put another one and right click and change the size. These are all same sizes. And again, from the same table. Okay, from the same table view. This time, our diameter is 35. I will go up with 80 millimeter in outer diameter. And the next thing, we have the thicknesses here. These are all same, but we are interested in the 31,307. For this, I will just choose the 54th row. For this, I will change the size here. The 50 millimeter belongs to this point here, this way, and this side of the bigger one belongs to this view, this side of the shaft. The smaller one belongs to the other side of the shaft here. First, make the constraint for smaller one. I will just make the adjustment. For this, I have to change and rotate my view because it is not very clear, but I know it looks when you look from the other side, you may have a view something like this. For this, it is not the same on this view. It is not the same as you see here. We have a slope at this point. For this, we change the rotation. And here, I would like to have this view. Then I will constrain the faces and make the touch the faces here. Okay, the next thing. Also for the other side, we would like to just make touch to this index bush. For this face, I will go to this face and just click OK. The next, we have the keyway points and the lip seal on this end point of the shaft. Okay. From the part list, I will go to part list again, search for these 3 numbers. We have the ISO 2491 for keyways, placed from content center again. And this time I will search 2491 for keyway, the size, which is this one. And I will search for the shaft, our shaft 35. And I will just have two types. 2 of them, it is 36. 2 of them, it is 50. Actually, it is 2 of them 50. The other one is 63. The first, I will bring one. I need 3. Then I will change one size by clicking, select, right click, and change size. I will change this size because it has the same standards. It belongs to the same standard, and their types are same. I will just extend these last one. Okay. Then I will just make the constraint. But for this, I will just hide everything which I have seen except the shaft, because I'm going to use the shaft size. Shaft for mounting purposes. First, make the faces. Again, make the faces. Also, for the last one, I will make the faces at this point. Then I will just make the circular relationships. To prevent this rotation, I will again make a new constraint. Use these 2 axes. I will change my point of view and make these 2 axes. Again, I will choose this axis and change the other side and this axis. With OK, I will just prevent this rotation. I will constrain this one to this one. Do the same thing for the last keyway. I would like to have this axis, okay. The next one, constraint this one to this one, and open the other parts again to have the visibilities to see what we do. The next thing, we have a lip seal here, which is the number belongs to this standard 6194-1. I'm sorry. Again, from place from content center. The next, I will search for 6194. We have several different standards. You can choose any of your type. I would choose the first one. This time, the designation first shows the diameter here. You will just search for this 35 millimeter with 80 outside, 55, I'm sorry, with 8 with type 2. This is our lip seal, and I will rotate before mounting purposes. I will rotate this one and make the constraint. Okay. Make the constraint. Okay. Again, choose axes. I think I have just made, except with F1 tool with the help. I'm searching. For this fixing purposes, I will just use this one and leave it as it is at this point. The next thing, we will like to create this exploded view here. I would like to have an exploded view in this section. Okay. For this, I will just like to create a new part, which is called the presentation part. With double click. Again, insert the model side. top side. I will search the component which I will just use this one. In this purpose, I would like to have this outline group, as you see. Again, change my view because I do not like to shade it with smooth edges. I would like to have shaded edges. And just this point, I will just make the extrusion, save length, and do not forget to save our point. Again, presentation. The first thing, what I'm going to do is I will just separate what I need is I would like to just create an exploded view, something like this. You can also use these purposes for telling the people that how you're going to assemble such a part to each other, or you can just create the instruction manuals for users. But for these purposes, we use the exploded views. For our part, we would like to just make first the selection of the part, then tweak the component. We have an arrows. By using these arrows, or you can just make the move from the ball here. You can just make the arbitrary movements. And after that one, you can also rotate the part wise. You can create any figure here like this. You will just go and then rotate, for example. But our purposes, I'm not interested in this way. I would like to just create a exploded view, something like this, which I can bring to the technical drawings. Okay. For this, I would search, select the component, then tweak. First, make the move to outside, then make the move to inside. As you see, we have a line pathway here. When you just go back to with this figure, you can just make a movie if you make a very good precision in our parts. Okay, the last we are going to continue. Then the next, I would like to separate these two parts. By selecting the control button, you can tweak also, do not forget this one. I would like to have a controlled movement, and I would like to have move these parts from the shaft. Also, I would like to separate these two parts from the push part by selecting these two figures. Okay. The next, I would like to have the tweak components. This one, you can also have this selection. What it touches, you can just make the move. As you see, you can make the keyway back around again. This one, tweak like this, and take it out from the shaft. Okay, what I need is like this. Rotate and isometric view. Here. Next thing, I would like to separate these components from each other. I would just move this plate. Move the pins, or you can just make it back to these faces. Okay. Also, you can tweak the shaft here from the other side. I would like to have the face here. Okay, moving to bearing side. This time I will just like to move the keyway, so the shaft in this principal axis to backside. Also, I would like to have this keyway, which is hidden this point. First, make the move one side and make the move side, like this. Okay. It is almost the same which I have made previously. To use this view in the sketch, you have to snapshot, take a picture of it, and you have to take the snapshot. You can adjust this view in your technical drawing. This is the old thing that I would like to have this part group. We will continue our parts with the part modeling of the cover and the body part.